So let's go ahead and take a look at what the differences are between the Apple Magic Keyboards for your iPads versus the Smart Keyboard Folio case that Apple also makes. So both these are keyboards that are associated with your iPads, which is actually really cool, and both of them offer kind of the same exact thing. They offer you to basically use your iPad as more of like a MacBook kind of situation, which is honestly really cool. I've used a couple keyboards for my iPads, but I've never really been, I don't really use keyboards for my iPads personally. But here's the really cool thing between both. Depending on which keyboard case you actually buy, one may end up working out better for you than the other one. And what do I mean by that? Well, for starters, for some iPads, you really have to make sure that you're buying the correct case for your iPad, because some iPads do not even support that Smart Keyboard Folio, and some iPads do not support the Apple Magic Keyboard. So those are the first things to keep in mind. You may still be able to connect them and still use them, but for that perfect fit, you have to make sure you're buying the perfect one for your iPad. So for that Smart Keyboard Folio case, there are a few different ones Apple makes. So they make the ones for the iPad Pros, but they also make the one for the iPad 10. The iPad 10 is the one I ended up buying, but this one, does have some key differences. For one, between even the Smart Keyboard Folio cases, this specific one does have a trackpad within it. It is a little bit more pricier than the ones without trackpads, but that is probably the first thing to keep in mind. Apple also makes the other Smart Keyboard Folio case that is specifically for the iPad Pro 11-inch, 4th generation, as well as the iPad Air 5s. So those are $179. So those are definitely a little bit different in terms of the price tag. And historically, Apple's made tons of different, cases and keyboards for your iPads as well. But those are the two big things to keep in mind. Now, beyond that, those are pretty much the main differences. One has a trackpad, the other one doesn't. However, between these specific keyboards and the bigger one, which is that Magic Keyboard Apple makes, well, there are some pretty big differences here for the most part. And this is probably the big thing, and the main reason why some people may end up actually switching over from their current iPad to something like an iPad Pro is because of one of these types of keyboards. So essentially what these keyboards are for your iPad is the Magic Keyboard. It's a really, really good, solid keyboard for your iPad Pros. Now, if you're lucky enough, it also does support, depending on the size, your iPad Pro 1st, 2nd, and 3rd generation and 4th generations, as well as the iPad Air 4th and 5th gen. Now, unfortunately for me, I bought the 12.9-inch model of this one, and I have an 11-inch iPad Pro. But regardless, the big and the cool feature set, I would say, with this type of iPad keyboard is that it is a little bit more flexible in that standpoint. It gives you more of an iPad experience. So with the Keyboard Folio case, the big thing and the big issue that I have here is that you do have kind of like a kickstand on the back, so it doesn't hold in place, and that can be kind of a disadvantage for some people. If you're wanting to go ahead and actually have a keyboard that is more like MacBook-like, well, you're going to have to go ahead and pretty much either A, have the kickstand on the back and have it open and propped like that. There's a less mobility in that standpoint. You can't really like have the lid halfway closed. You can't really do anything like that. With the Magic Keyboard case, you actually have that capability. So that right there is probably the big thing. And immediately when I was able to go ahead and basically open this thing up, it is crazy how it just like snaps right into place, which is actually really cool. So personally, I like seeing that a lot, and that is the first thing that kind of stood out to me. Now, all these cases pretty much have that rechargeability there, which is really cool, but I really liked seeing that from that iPad, at least from the Magic Keyboard, because it felt way more like a MacBook. And that is the thing I really want to take a look at, is can these iPads replace MacBooks? And I think with something like this Keyboard Folio cases, it does an okay job, but this Magic Keyboard that Apple made for the iPads do an exceptional job. So that is the first thing that kind of stands out to me, or maybe like the 10th thing by this point. But I will say, for the price tag, is it worth going and upgrading to that, other size keyboard? And for that, I would probably say it really depends. If you plan on getting that, $179, Keyboard Folio case, you might as well just get that one, because the price tag of that is pretty good, and you can't really beat that for the most part. If you're planning on getting that type of keyboard case, it's pretty decent for that price tag. I'd probably recommend going in the used market if you have the case. If not, I think this one is pretty good too. That Keyboard Folio case though, for the 10.9-inch iPad, is a lot more in line, I would say, with that Magic Keyboard case for the iPad. So if you are planning on getting either an iPad 10 or an iPad Pro, if you have all the money, then just go for the iPad Pro, and then just buy that keyboard case on top of it as well. But if not, I think getting the iPad 10 with that newer Keyboard Folio case actually is kind of a better deal in some ways. I think it's probably a little bit better for some people, and that could also make a little bit more sense for some people as well. So those are kind of the main differences here. If you want to pick up either one of these keyboards, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there. You can help support the channel at the same time. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section as well. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.